All right, guys, how's it going? If you watch this video before 6:30 on Thursday evening, that's when I'm hosting a live stream if you'd like to come and see me. Not sure if there'll be one on Friday night, okay? There will be one Saturday morning, I think, but I will confirm everything in the morning briefings. So, in this video, we're going to be talking more Ben Jacobs. This one is going to be about his comments regarding Xabi Alonso and Liverpool and a slot. A few people have asked me about this one. They've come on my live streams. Have you seen what Jacobs has said? Jacobs isn't a journalist that I personally pay attention to, but he's high profile, and I like to see what he's got to say, and we can go through it together and see if we agree with anything he says or look to see if he's hedging. Now, I'm going to read out what he said. I'm going to give you my opinion as we go through it, and then Dave, my AI assistant that's been trained to analyse football news articles, the journalists that write them, and the publications and platforms that push them on us, he will give his take on it. And the good thing about Dave is for every journalist that we discuss on here, we have a log of every article Dave wrote over the last year or so. So Dave can automatically look for flip-flopping or changing tune or contradictions and things like that. So Ben Jacobs, what's he been saying? Brief summary. A mid-season sacking would be a big surprise unless results collapse. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Liverpool plan an end-of-season review, and then he adds, but not a slot-specific, axing review. Xabi Alonso is not being actively pursued, and there has been no contact. I disagree strongly with that. Jose Felix Díaz, who is the closest journalist to, things concerning Real Madrid, is the closest to Florentino Perez, etc., is adamant that Liverpool have made contact with Alonso. Obviously, what contact means in that context is, it could be just a little third party, representative asking a question, or it could be Michael Edwards himself, which I think would be highly unlikely, by the way. No, so straight away, he's saying no contact, so he's contradicting Jose Felix Díaz. Alonso would love to manage Liverpool one day, but he won't wait around. Well, I think that applies. Yeah. If Slot ever went, Alonso would be a leading candidate, but that's hypothetical, not active. Summer will bring a managerial merry-go-round, and Alonso will have options. Bottom line, no movement, no talks, no trigger pull, just future possibilities being mapped out. That's a brief summary of what he's been saying. So look at his full quotes. So on Arne Slot, he said, at the moment, Liverpool retain a backing for Arne Slot. Yeah, it's Arne Slot's job to lose or to secure, in my opinion. It was again a disappointing loss at the weekend to Bournemouth, but I think Liverpool's plan is to review things at the end of the season. He thinks Liverpool's plan is to review things at the end of the season. That won't even necessarily be a specific review to Arne Slot's future, but of course the evaluation of the manager is likely to come. So he thinks there's going to be a review, and then is adamant that it won't, be a review specific to Arne Slot's future. So it would still be a big surprise if Liverpool made any kind of mid-season change. Well, it depends on the results at the time. So if he loses 3, 4, 5 games or whatever and drops out of the Champions League places, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if he was sacked. If he wins 3, 4, 5 games in a row and he climbs up the Premier League table further, then it would be a surprise. So this is just common sense to me. Results would have to decline considerably, he says. Common sense. Liverpool are still in contention to qualify for the knockout stage of the Champions League. They're in the mix of the Champions League qualification. These quotes, by the way, from a couple of days ago. The downside of their season is, of course, that they're not really challenging for the Premier League title. Okay. On Alonso and Liverpool haven't yet had their head turned by the availability of Xabi Alonso since leaving Real Madrid. I'm not quite sure I would answer that one myself, because I think it depends on who Liverpool is. Who's your Liverpool? Are you referring to Liverpool the owners, or Liverpool Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, or Liverpool the players, Liverpool the fans? Liverpool haven't yet had their head turned by the availability of Xabi Alonso. My opinion is that there will be people with different opinions. So I think that up the FSG tree, I think they'd be looking at, we liked the sound of him last time around. Things are maybe not going too good. He would be a possibly a good candidate. I think then when you go to the other side of maybe Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, maybe they would be, saying the opposite to that, because after all, Arne Slot's their appointment, right? And they don't want Arne Slot to fail because it means they failed, if you think about it, right? So I'm sure, that the people responsible for hiring Arne Slot are not going to be very keen to replace him with anybody, okay? They had him as one of the leading candidates before Slot was appointed. This is correct. And if you remember rightly at the time, FSG was said to favour him considerably, really did like him. It sounded like he was going to get the job, to be honest. And Michael Edwards appeared and then it went dead. Some people think that's because, he was keeping one eye on the Real Madrid job, which would make sense. But the indications around the time was that he was interested in Liverpool. Who knows? I guess we'll never know. But the statement is they had him as one of the leading candidates before Slot was appointed. I agree with that. But Edwards and Hughes want you to believe that Slot was always the first choice. I don't believe that. Okay, son, what's up? It probably is fair to say if Arne Slot goes at any point, then Xabi Alonso, should he be a free agent, will be one of the leading candidates, if not the leading candidate. Yeah, I agree with that. But Liverpool are not thinking about replacing Arne Slot yet. They want to back him. I think you can do both of those. I think that you can say, maybe we do have to think about, replacing Slot if things continue, and at the same time still want him to succeed. Xabi Alonso is not going to hang around either. He's looking to get back into work as soon as possible. Complete contradiction to what Jose Felix Díaz says, that Alonso just wants to chill a little bit and is in no rush to come back. But if Liverpool went calling, he would take it like that. So it's not a guarantee, even though people are connecting the dots, that Xabi Alonso will end up at Liverpool. I agree. I'm not aware of any formal contact yet between Liverpool and Xabi Alonso. It doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It just means he's not aware. They don't need it either, because if there was ever a vacancy, they know Xabi Alonso well. When I was at school, I wish I decided I wanted to be a journalist. It's the easiest fucking thing in the world, isn't it? On Alonso's career preferences, my understanding is that Xabi Alonso would like to manage in the Premier League. Really? I'm sure if you ask Xabi Alonso, he would say absolutely he'd love to come to Liverpool, his former club. I'm sure if you ask. We don't know then. When there originally was the vacancy after Jurgen Klopp left, Xabi Alonso and a few other candidates such as Ruben Amorim and even Ange Postecoglou, whatever you pronounce his name, scored very high in Liverpool's data-led shortlisting. Common sense. But Slot became the unanimous choice. I think Ruben Amorim. When Alonso was no longer in the picture, Ruben Amorim was the man that they were looking at. But if you remember rightly, Ruben Amorim, Pedro de Parra, his agent as well, they kind of... what are you doing? They kind of sabotaged themselves, I think, Ruben Amorim. Liverpool kind of had to back off Alonso anyway, because they realised that he was going to wait and go to Real Madrid. And that's exactly what happened, sorry. Yeah, right, I can tell you right now, this to me reads like someone pretending to be an ITK, because I think many of us would go through those comments and would be able to say all those things. Right, if you're wondering why Remy's moaning, because I don't want the RSPCA phoning on me, right? My chick's just got in from work. She's in the kitchen upstairs and she's putting shopping away, and he's down there at the door because he wants to be upstairs. But she said, can you take Remy downstairs, please, while I do this, so you stay here. So yeah, it sounds very ITK-ish. It doesn't sound like a journalist. Like this is supposed to be like a journalist, right? Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't sound like that to me. Liverpool kind of had to back off Alonso anyway, because they realised he was going to wait and go to Real Madrid. I think we all knew that at the time, that was a very, very possible thing. On what happens next, he says, now having left Real Madrid, there's only a handful of clubs that Alonso would, in his dream world, consider. One is Liverpool and the other is Bayern. Speculative. We'll have to wait and see if he gets either of those vacancies. There will be other clubs looking at Alonso, especially now he's a free agent. At the moment, I'm not aware of any formal approach or even contact yet between Liverpool and Xabi Alonso, although he apparently has said that I'm sure at the start it said no contact. Anyway, let's leave it to Dave's analysis and breakdown. So, is this informed or is he clutching? This is informed but speculative, and Jacobs mostly knows it. He's not inventing a story, he's mapping a decision tree. If Slot fails, if Liverpool move, if Alonso is free, if the timing works. That's not reporting an event, it's scenario journalism, which I think many of us could do on our own anyway. Hedging, yes, but controlled. There's a lot of hedge language in what he said. At the moment, would have to decline considerably, not necessarily, probably fair to say, if there ever became a vacancy. However, and this matters, he never crosses into hype. He repeatedly pulls back from the Alonso narrative instead of leaning into it. That's unusual for Jacobs. What he's actually signalling, three key signals: Slot is safe for now, no panic, no trigger finger. I think I would agree with that. Alonso is plan B, not plan now. He's a known quantity, but not active. Liverpool won't rush, review culture, not knee-jerk reactions. This aligns with how Liverpool actually operates. So if you have knowledge of how the club operates, you should be able to kind of hedge and predict what you think they'll be thinking. What he avoids saying, and in brackets Dave's put telling, he does not say Liverpool are unhappy internally. Slot is under serious pressure. Talks are ongoing. Intermediaries are involved. That absence matters. If there were whispers, Jacobs would pad them in. This is one of Jacobs' more credible segments, precisely because it's boring. He's not selling hope. He's not dangling Alonso bait. He's actively telling people to calm down and stop connecting dots. It's sensible, restrained, heavy on hypotheticals and low on insider juice. Or, in cop talk language, this isn't a leak, it's a weather forecast. Conditions exist, but nothing's moving yet. So I pushed Dave on this and, said, what about, the contradiction with Jose Felix Díaz? And who do you believe, Dave? Well, I asked Dave. All right, let's see what he says. He said, and Dave has responded with a laughing emoji, and he's put, right, Dunk, this is exactly where the fun starts, because both can be right while sounding like they're saying opposite things, and that's the whole game. What looks like a contradiction? Jacobs. I'm not aware of any formal contact yet between Liverpool and Xabi Alonso, and repeats, no formal approach or even contact. Jose Felix Díaz. Xabi Alonso has received the first call from Liverpool. Liverpool have contacted his camp agent. So who do I believe, says Dave. He says, this is my take and a fair one. Well, we'll be the judge of that, Dave. If I'm forced to pick one, I lean on Díaz, on the Real Madrid camp chatter, and Jacobs on the Liverpool club process framing. Because Díaz is plugged into the Madrid ecosystem, and AS are outright claiming a first call and contact. Jacobs is doing his usual careful dance. Not aware, formal contact, don't need it, only if a vacancy. That's classic, I can't verify this from my side, so I won't own it. And in brackets, Dave has put very Jacobs. Here's the real answer, Dunk. They're probably talking about different kinds of contact. Football media translation. Díaz contact can mean agent gets a feeler, intermediary has a chat, someone checks availability. Would you even be open? Jacobs contact often means direct club to agent talks with intent, structured approach, something he's comfortable saying without getting clipped into oblivion. So you can easily have Liverpool sounding out the Alonso camp, Díaz says yes, but no formal approach and nothing that, Jacobs can confidently confirm. It's not a contradiction. It's two blokes staring at the same pub from different streets. The giveaway. Jacob's wording is protective. He says, I'm not aware. He mentions formal contact, which means there could be informal contact, right? They don't need it either. That's him leaving himself an escape hatch wide enough to park the team bus, saying if it later comes out Liverpool did make a call, Jacobs can say, yeah, I said formal contact. And he'll look like he meant that all along, swivel chair fully lubricated. Díaz might also be Madrid PR useful here. AS running Liverpool have called helps keep Alonso's name hot, makes him look wanted, and subtly turns slot situation into inevitability. Doesn't mean it's false, just means it's useful. My final verdict, with the knife and fork out, if Díaz says there's been contact, I treat it as a feeler has happened until proven otherwise. If Jacob says he's not aware, I treat it as nothing he can pin to Liverpool sources. So Díaz is probably closer to what's being whispered. Jacobs is probably closer to what Liverpool would admit. Or in cop talk language, Díaz is telling you someone's text. Jacobs is telling you nobody's proposed yet. Both can be true, and both can still be used to make fans lose their heads on Twitter like it's a new hobby. Jacobs' whole game is being adjacent to information without ever owning it. He wants to sound like he's in the room, but never be the bloke who gets caught saying, yes, this happened. Look at his patterns. I'm not aware, formal contact, at this point, my understanding is, if there were ever a vacancy, that's not reporting, that's legal drafting. He positions himself perfectly so that if something happens, I told you it was possible. If nothing happens, I said there was no contact. If someone else breaks it, that aligns with what I was hearing. That's not being wrong, it's just never committing. Why Díaz versus Jacobs matters here. Jose Felix Díaz sticks his neck out. When he says there has been contact, he's saying it because someone in the Madrid-Alonso orbit has explicitly told him that. He's not hedging, he's publishing. Jacobs, on the other hand, is doing what Jacobs always does. He hasn't been told directly by Liverpool, so instead of saying, I don't know, he says, I'm not aware of any formal contact. That's Chancellor behaviour. It sounds authoritative, but it's actually evasive. The telltale sign, he's blagging a bit. This line in particular, Dunk. They don't need it either because if there was ever a vacancy, they know Xabi Alonso well. That's waffle dressed as insight. It means nothing but sounds reassuring. It's like saying, I haven't asked her out, but we already know each other. Cheers, Ben. Shakespeare's shaking. My honest verdict, Díaz equals source-led, sometimes agenda-driven, but actually informed. Jacobs equals process-led, vibes-based, and very good at sounding plugged in while saying very little. Jacobs isn't stupid, he's just playing the safest possible game in the loudest possible voice. So yeah, he is a chancer, just a well-spoken one who knows how to survive screenshots. I love that. If Díaz says contact happened and Jacobs says I'm not aware of formal contact, I know exactly who I trust more. And it isn't the bloke sat permanently on the swivel chair with the escape hatch open. And that, my friends, is Dave's analysis of what, what's he called? I forgot his name already. Ben Jacobs had to say about Alonso. So this is one that, these comments actually got a lot of traction because what you got to understand is that, people on social media, they're not as switched on as you, right? They're not. They're just not as switched on as you. So, people go, oh, Ben Jacobs, oh, I see him, you see him on the TV all the time and, he's on the radio, and I get an email, with the latest news. So people just think that they trust, like this is what we used to do when we were young. Well, I used to do when I was younger. You'd see a journalist, you believe everything they fucking said. But as I've, learned through doing this for almost 30 years, you realise that's not really the case. And if you look deep into some of these articles like we do, you will see the hedging, you'll see the non-committal, you'll see that really airtime doesn't mean authority. And if you think about it, the ones that you don't really see much of are the most credible journalists, in my opinion, all right? So Paul Joyce, most people don't even know what he looks like, right? With Ornstein, yes, you do see him, but you have to remember he's a multi-club journalist talking about many, many clubs. And not only that, you don't see him, popping up on some, shitty, YouTube channel like mine, give me his opinion for 30 quid or something like that. No, Ornstein, you'll see popping up on the major broadcasters in the US and stuff like that. And listen, even Joyce and Ornstein, you don't just believe everything they say, because you've got to think about who's telling them it. They're messengers at the end of the day, and we have to determine whether what they're being told is genuine, which is why I always say to you, who wants it out there? Who does it benefit, right? You've always got to, he's going mental, this dog. You've always got to look, I'll kick your teeth in, I don't care if anyone's watching or not. You've always going to start barking. Can you hear him running? I told you, didn't I? Come here, you'll have that fucking idiot on here from over there telling me that I don't give you enough cuddles. Come and have a cuddle. Have you quite finished? Now he's going to bark, I think. I told you. Anyway, that's what I think. So, I think someone wants to go upstairs. Are you missing her? Yeah, well, she don't want you upstairs. So, you stuck with me for a minute. Come here, please. Thank you. Come here. Good boy. Right, so that's what I think. Yeah, what I was saying was you've got to be, just eat with all of these journalists, even the ones that we really listen to. You've always got to think about who the messenger is and stuff like that. Ben Jacobs, I'm not really interested in what Ben Jacobs says, to be honest with you. But I think it's interesting for us to break down these journalist things and see, with the help of Dave, because he sees things that I don't all the time, just how they do leave hedges, like how they leave things open, where the example's given in this analysis, isn't it? That, hey, Jose Felix Díaz hasn't come out and said, I think they've contacted him, or they might have contacted him, or they've contacted him, but it might not go anywhere. He just went straight to the fact of, hey, I'm telling you, they've contacted him, right? And I watched it in a video, sat there with authority, and that's where it's different between people like that and people like Ben Jacobs. And what you have to understand is this isn't personal, right? These journalists, they're putting stuff out there for us to analyse, right? It'd be the same as anyone watching my videos. Yeah, I like Dunk's vids. I think it's credible. I like them. There'll be some people out there that go, don't like them. He's a chancer or whatever, right? So we're all entitled to opinions. If you're putting yourself out there, then you have to, be on the receiving end of that, So there's no hate or anything. It's just like, you know what, Ben? Even on was it in this video, the previous one? It was, hey, this is one of his better pieces. So if they give us stuff where we can say, oh, there's no get-outs there, then I would give you that. It's not my fault that when you look at these journalists, that there's often a pattern of there are hedges, there are get-outs, and, okay, maybe we can't expect journalists to say this is definitely happening. And we also shouldn't slaughter them when they make a statement and it doesn't happen, because I understand that things in football can change. It's a multi-billion-pound industry. But what I try to do is say to people, why do you put so much attention and trust in these people? Let's examine the words. Let's see what they've really said. When something comes off that's really, good, we'll say, hey, well done, great, nice one, and we'll flag that up. It just so happens that doesn't happen very often, So, and you often see, like I say, I don't think you see the best journalists on every YouTube account and podcasts and everything. I think the ones that are like, yeah, I'll come on for 30 quid. Do you know what I mean? And then they need to say something, controversial, sensational, so that they get a lot of views. So the person that hired them will go, could you come back again? Right? And it's a bit of that. And I can tell you now, if I see something on X, on social media, say journalist, and then a quote, I know who that journalist is most likely going to be out of the Liverpool clique. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm not going to name names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you. I've got more coming up for you. I'm just going to kick Remy's teeth in because he's annoying me. All right? You're annoying me. And I'm covered in dog hairs again. All right, guys, if you found this video informative, I'm not sure. I think it was a bit of a struggle, this video. But that's because it's Ben Jacobs, right? And as what did Dave say? It's boring. Boring Ben. There you go. Maybe that's a new nickname. Thanks to Dave. What do you think? Yeah, listen, if you enjoyed the video and want to support me, please thumbs up the video. Please drop me a comment. Your interaction on the channel matters. The more you interact, the more likely you to get a free membership when they get gifted by people on live streams. Yeah, please comment. There's love art if you want to get a super chat that supports the channel. You can join the channel and become a schwab. Or there's 3 links in the video description or alternative ways of supporting me. Revolut's my beer kitty, but I'm very grateful for any support you give me. And like I say, that starts with a thumb. So, all right, guys, cheers.